Hey guys, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I want to talk about some of my recent reads. These are specifically the 3 things that I finished in the month of February. 3 books slash like just things for me in general isn't a lot for me in a month at all. I would usually get really upset about this, but I'm still making this video just to say that like it's okay if you don't read as much as you planned or as much as you would have liked to, or if you did read 3 books and you're happy with that, that is wonderful. Just usually for me, I do like to read more than this, but I fell into a rut this month. You can see by my channel kind of this month. It just like wasn't a lot of uploads. I just wasn't keeping up with this YouTube thing. I lacked a lot of creativity. I lacked a lot of ideas. I fell into a rut emotionally, so there was like a lot of things going on. But I'm slowly getting out of that right now, but I still wanted to share some of the books that I recently read, so let's jump right into those. The first thing I read this month was a poetry collection, and it is called Broken Flowers by Robert M. Drake. This was a modern poetry collection about all things that the modern poetry collections are about, so about love specifically. Law. Mostly love though. There are a few quotes from the poetry collection just in case you guys are interested in it, and it's kind of hard to describe plots for poetry collections, so I thought I would share some quotes from the actual book. The first one is, there were always those nights where she preferred the rain over people, because the rain would remind her of how she should feel and people would remind her of the things she wanted to forget. She slept with wolves without fear, for the wolves knew a lion was among them. Sometimes your scars have a lot less to do with where you've been and a lot more to do with where you're going. I ended up giving this collection a 3.25 out of 5 stars. I quite enjoyed it. It's not, again, it wasn't my favorite, but it was still an enjoyable and quick read for me, so I love reading those poetry collections. Now we're going to bring out the big Edgar Allan Poe bind-up, and we're going to talk about a short story that I read from here. So the story that I read was Metzengerstein, and this is a short story that is all about, it's about these rival families who have had tension for so many years. No one knows like how, like when this even started. Like it's so old. It's like no one knows how far back it dates. It's really old, this rivalry, and it's continued on. It has to also do with a prophecy. So the prophecy specifically is, a lofty name shall have a fearful fall, when as the rider over his horse, the mortality of Metzengerstein shall triumph over the mortality of Berliftesing, which is like the other family. This is just about this guy who's quite young and he gains his family's inheritance, and all these things go wrong, and it's really metaphorical and dark and twisted. Like, it's not as twisted as his other works, but it was really dark, and there's a horse, and it's so pretty. Not pretty, but like in a dark way. Like it's so mesmerizing and interesting, and I really enjoyed this story by him. I don't really know what else to say about the story, but I really enjoyed it, and it was really short, but it was really great, and I ended up giving this a 3.75 out of 5 stars. And the last and final thing I have to talk about is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, which is a self-help book all about how to stop doubting your greatness and start living an awesome life. This was okay. I felt like it got really old really fast for me. At first I was enjoying it, and then it just kind of, went down a little. I specifically enjoyed the lists that were provided. There was some on how to, lists on how to get an idea on who you are, and these lists that are like some tips, take the first right step, listen to your intuition, just tips like that. And those parts I really liked. I really liked when they were talking about tips, and it's also like tips that were discussed and like the lists. I specifically enjoyed the chapter on What Are You Doing Here, which I thought was really insightful and interesting, and it talked a lot about, why we're here and how to kind of find your purpose in life. I also enjoyed the meditation section. I found that really insightful and interesting. I personally have meditated, and I did it more, like I did it in January kind of a lot, but recently I kind of stopped, and this just kind of opened my eyes about different ways you can do it, and it's not just the typical sit down meditation. Like you can, even just staring out the window for 5 minutes and like focusing on your breathing or whatever, like there's so many ways you can meditate that are not just known like by that are not so obvious. Last but not least, I enjoyed the chapter about forgiveness, which I thought was a really interesting chapter. It talked about tips on how to forgive, like find compassion, erase the other person from the equation, decide you'd rather be happy than right, look at it from all angles, have a total shit fit, remember that you won't even remember this, forget about it, and love yourself, were those tips for that one. And this book was really interesting. Again, some chapters I like more than others. I think it was really insightful. Is it my favorite self-help book? No, but I think it was really interesting. So if you're into self-help books, you should check this one out. You might really enjoy it. And I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. So there you guys have it. Those were some of the things that I recently read. Let me know down below what you've been reading and how you're doing. And if you maybe fell into a rut, like, just let me know. I got so much positive and supportive feedback on my video talking about how I wanted to like change some things up on my channel, and I got so much feedback, so thank you so much. That really like warmed my heart seeing all that. And just, I've been not uploading and it's really hard for me, and I'm trying to still incorporate new things, and I'm trying to think of new ideas, and I have a lot of things in the works. Like, I have a lot of things planned. So yes, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.